Okay, Vanessa Sky, Trends to Change here, and I'm probably not going to get much likes for this, and I'm probably going to get a bit of backlash, but I'm going to go ahead and turn around and say what I need to hear. And I've been trying to keep out of what's happening in the media and everything else as well, but to be quite honest with you, it's really getting sickening when something happens and a person who works a very hard job suddenly comes under scrutiny and comes under fire. And it really gets sickening where you get all these people going on YouTube, going on social media and talking about how they think they know best and everything else. And I am talking about this policewoman dealing with the autistic kid. And I'm really going to put my say in, so here it goes. We're going to go into the intro and then I'm going to talk about it. Just done the introduction to this, so let's get into it. Let's have a bit of a chat, and it's about a situation about a female police officer who arrested, or was part of an arrest of a 16-year-old girl. The facts of the matter are, the 16-year-old girl was autistic. Let's turn around and say yes, or in some cases there are mitigating circumstances, and I will say that fair. However, what I will say is that it is the only part that's being looked at, not the whole. And I personally want to bring out a few bits that I actually feel should be said and should be highlighted, and actually, to be quite honest with you, an awful lot of experts really need to kind of start looking at the same aspects that I am, because I've seen an awful lot of responses to this, and I've seen people who do the body analytics and everything and stuff like that, and quite frankly I'm getting a little sick and tired of people being brave over the internet and really shooting off things and just taking one side. So I'm going to start off with this, and this is not just anecdotal on my part and my experiences, and I have been a security officer, well, was a security officer collectively over and about 8 years. I've also been a lifeguard for over 12 years and a personal trainer, and worked with the public for quite a long time. Now, especially going into security, and you'll have to excuse me because I'm dashing between work and doing other stuff and training and Lord knows what, and if I don't look at the camera, I am busy with other things. So as a security officer for 7 years, and I worked on doors, I worked 12-hour shifts, and I worked in leisure complexes, retail and everything else as well. And to be quite honest with you, there are so many things that reeks of a setup of this police officer. Let's start from the beginning. The police were called out over concerns about a vulnerable teenager, 16 years old. Well, first of all, teenagers who are 16, they are of a certain legal age. They are coming into adulthood. They have to pay for adult tickets on public transport, on planes. When they go on holiday, they have to pay full price as an adult. There's a lot of things they have to do that come with an adult price tag. They can even get married with parental permission. Okay, so you know, and 16 is the legal age for a lot of other things. However, what it is not legal to do is to buy alcohol, or for people to buy alcohol for the consumption for under 16-year-olds. Well, for under 18-year-olds. Those are the licensing laws. So number one, I would be asking, why was she picked up drunk? Why was she allowed to get drunk knowing that she has autism? Why was she sold, or why did someone sell on behalf by proxy so that this teenager can drink it? Why was she allowed out under her own reconnaissance if she is that severely autistic? Very simple questions. All right? When you're working on the doors, anybody who is 16 years of age, do not, unless it's a family time in a pub, if it is past a certain time, or if it's over 18s only, they do not come in. So we have this situation, and this girl, if she's 16 and she knows she has autism, there's a lot of kids that age who have autism who do not act that way. The police are not a taxi service. They are there to look after vulnerable people. This is true, yes. And they took care, they brought her home. All good, well done to the police. Then the 16-year-old, while drunk and disorderly, insults a police officer. Drunk and disorderly is still illegal. There is still a penalty attached to that. Whatever anybody else says, there is that. Yes, you can be patient. Yes, you can do this. However, when it comes to the law, when it comes to that, and from the looks of it, although I don't have particular evidence, it looks as though this young girl was resisting arrest whilst drunk and disorderly. Whether or not you have autism or not, it's still a crime. And the police officer saying, I don't care, it's a matter of fact. It is a crime. End of story. I have no sympathy. In fact, if I was the local authority in the police, I would be having social services involved, mental health team involved. Why was this kid left unattended? Why was she allowed to get into this situation? There's a lot more questions to be asked than aiming at the police officer. From experience and other doorman's experiences, we have had to deal with that, all that sort of stuff on a daily basis. On a security officer side, the amount of times, and I've worked in high Asian area where I have come under an awful lot of criticism purely because I'm white, and I've had to turn around and say to them, off you go, no more. And I've had to put my foot down and be authoritative with these people. There's too much blaming authoritative figures rather than people taking accountability. So I would turn around and say, all these people, they need to close that, start appreciating the work that a lot of these police officers have to do, because believe me, whilst I've experienced working in the security industry and have had a lot to deal with that, police officers have even more serious things to deal with. I would suggest anybody criticising the police, they need to go in for training, because I can guarantee you this, is that when people criticise and then they're going for the training that the police offer and they take the final exams, every single one of them fail. They've acted too soon, too quickly, far sooner than a fully trained police officer would react. I suggest people need to get off the high horse. Now I'm going to end with the story, and it happened when I was a doorman, and it's happened a couple of times. Judges, when there's been an incident and a colleague of mine had to go to court, he quite rightly restrained someone. Full CCTV, everything else. The guy was being violent and tried to blame the doorman. One of the judges pretty much didn't like doorman. However, give them the due, and he actually said in court, I can prove that I can do the job without this escalating to this situation. Never done anything like that, always been whatever it was, never really had to deal with that. Had the security there so they could do all the stuff that he needed to do. Never once having to deal with something on a situation on the level of security. Now, give him his due. He went and got his door badge, came and worked for us. I'm going back a little while now. We had to ask him to go home after an hour. He was losing it with customers that we would not usually lose. We would just say, look, you know, we'd de-escalate the situation, while this judge was escalating everything. Needless to say, he went back. The result was, well, actually, I've seen what happens, and this person was perfectly justified with his actions. Loved door people, loved door supervisors after that. Yes, the police officer might have said a couple of things that were perhaps unsavoury to some people. But until you've gone through and done the job, until you've actually been in situations that this police officer has been in, I would suggest one thing and one thing only. Shut your mouth and know your role and keep quiet. Because at the end of the day, you can guarantee that the fault will lie more with the person rather than the police officer. Now, I'm not saying all police officers are angels, are darlings, and the perfect saints. I know some who are pieces of work. But on the whole, the people who go out to work, who do the best, who believe in what they do, flawed human beings trying to do their best, I would suggest, until you're able to do the job, keep quiet. And that goes to all these body analysts, all these people giving it that. Shut up, keep quiet. You don't know what these people deal with. End of. And by the way, as said, start questioning why that 16-year-old was in that state. Start investigating. Start finding out who supplied alcohol to this teenager. Start investigating all those things, including the parents who allowed this situation to happen in the first place. End of.